So I'll tell you a story about before I left the Jehovah Witnesses. I did a lot of funny things while I was a Jehovah Witness and basically preparing to leave. I trolled my Kingdom Hall, my congregation, which is my whole church group. I trolled them so hard because they were harassing me. They would literally pick on me for everything I did, said, wore, and I made a MySpace page to escape. See, I was a clever girl, and at the time we were moving a lot, and we moved into this big house across from my best friend. She also lived in a big house. We built two houses next door to each other. This was at Hoppington, Massachusetts. I lived at 10 West Elm Street in a big blue house, and my bedroom was above the garage, where it's impossible to reach. It's very high. There's no way anybody is gonna get up there. And I assumed people would conclude that logic. So I had my MySpace page, and it was full of stories, vampire fan fiction, things from fantasy novels, things like that, and poems I wrote and made up. They were mostly like love poems and things I wrote when I was a bit of a dramatic teenager. And yeah, there was pictures that Christians, I guess, definitely would not approve of at all. But that was my MySpace page, and I didn't share it really with anybody. So I was surprised to find out that I was being spied on. See, what happened, they found my MySpace page, and these girls came over to my parents' house while I was away out walking, and they snooped my computer without my permission. They were two girls I did not get along with, and they went around, I guess, spreading the fact that I was into all this demonic stuff or whatever. So I decided to basically troll the congregation. I took my MySpace page and then I made an extra MySpace account, and it was an older one. I made sure the dates and everything were right. It was a spare MySpace account I had made before, and I switched it up. I added a whole bunch of content, made it all black, made it all scary, and then I uploaded a picture of a guy with a hood on and corpse paint, looking like his face was painted like the Grim Reaper kinda, but not. It's like a mixture type of goth look, and he looked scary. I found a picture that I thought was cool and interesting looking and kind of a crazy person, and I set it as the profile picture, and I named the guy and everything, and it was all set to go. I put him in my contacts, and then I set him as my boyfriend, which was probably the funniest, stupidest thing I ever did, because I finally figured out all the people who were spying on me and did not like me. Because the next few days, I got complaints up the ass like, "Who's that guy you says your boyfriend? You can't date him. He's not a Jehovah's Witness. He's worldly." Oh, I didn't hear the end of it. It was crazy. They were all over me. They were like freaking mosquitoes. And I just kept on with the story. I didn't care if it got me into trouble, because as I was saying, I was planning on leaving the Jehovah's Witnesses soon anyway. I was really just tired of them harassing me, so I figured I'd give them something really to talk about, and just to expose how judgmental and ignorant they are. I wasn't seeing anybody or doing anything, but I made up this elaborate story that this hooded guy would I would go and meet him in the woods, which was my own backyard, the trees were transparent. You could look into the woods and see that I was seeing nobody. I literally just went in there to walk, sit, and enjoy nature and listen to like birds and stuff, or write in my journals or read a book. I literally sat in the woods reading a book, and they thought I was going off seeing this guy, making out with him, fucking him, and everything. I was like, you guys are so dumb. But the funny thing is, I ended up getting weird gifts that I cannot explain. I really cannot explain that. Somebody dropped a magazine full of metal bands right in front of my house, like at the mailbox. I don't know who did that. It was like full of all my favorite bands, like Behemoth, Cradle of Filth, Dimmu Borgir at the time, Gorgoroth, all these black metal and Norwegian bands in a giant magazine. And my friend was walking with me at the time I went to pick it up, and I just went on with it. My brain connected the dots to the story and was like, "Oh, my boyfriend must have dropped this off." And her face was like, "Oh my god, he is real." She was like, "Oh my god." She's like, "You can't read that. Those people in the magazine look scary. That music is bad." I slid it into my shirt and I went inside the house and I was smiling evilly. I was like, "Well, it was just nice of him to think of the kind of music I like. Maybe they're good bands. Maybe you'd like them. I don't want to be judgmental. That wouldn't be very Christian of me now, would it?" I was acting so polite, so nauseatingly nice, while trolling at the same time. They didn't pick up on that at all. I was like, maybe I can get him to come to church with me. I was like really enjoying it. Like, they got so upset and were like, "He seems dangerous, Melissa. You might be in trouble. Blah, blah, blah. What you're doing is bad. You shouldn't. Are you sleeping with him?" I was like, "Maybe." I was like, "He is awfully handsome and he's quite gentle." I was like, but sometimes not so gentle. I was like going on and on, enjoying it so much. How upset everybody got at me. And then I had found like random necklaces and this and that, and I'd be like, "Oh, look at the jewelry he bought me. He's so romantic." And the more angry they got, the more elaborate I made the story. I was like, "I had a fun night with my secret lover. He snuck up to my window, which is like 9 feet high and impossible to sneak in." You would need like a huge ladder to get up there. Somebody would definitely see and notice. And I'd be like, "I let him through my window and we make steaming hot love together." Stupid. And my friend was like, "Oh my gosh, Melissa, you can't do that. That's a sin, blah, blah, blah." It didn't help that I accidentally bought a sex journal at the time. I made up this crazy story, and I was like writing in my journal all these fake experiences that me and said lover had, and then my friend got all upset with me, and rumors went around the whole Kingdom Hall. People's parents were looking at me like I was a slut. My friend's sister was like, "That's slutty. Your outfits are slutty." I started dressing like in lacy red spaghetti strap tank tops with my cleavage hanging out and all this stuff. I was living it up, enjoying it, because I was like, I'm going to leave all you judgmental people someday anyway. It was so funny. And, eventually I had to get more creative with my story because there were stairs that led to my bedroom through the living room. I was like, I would open the door at night and let him go through the back door stairs. And sometimes I'd go over his house and I'd describe his room. He had a all black room with all these pictures of artists and macabre art, like all these half naked women, and his room was full of smoke and incense and skulls. And I was like acting like I was super turned on by that. Kinda was. I was like enjoying it. And then late at night, I just lay in bed and I'd think about it, and I was like, ooh, that would be fun. I was like, that was the kind of stuff I liked anyway, and I just, they got so upset. I got in so much trouble. And then my mom was getting all these rumors, and she would confront me about it. She's like, are you sleeping with somebody? Are you having sex? Why do you have a sex journal? Why are you doing this? Where is all this money coming from? I accidentally found tons of cash in my pocket. I have no idea where it came from. I'm thinking my grandpa might have snuck it in there when I visited his house. But I ended up pulling out a bunch of cash out in front of my friend while I was over her house, and I was like, mentally, I was like, where the fuck did this cash come from? And then my friend's mom was like, where are you getting all this money? And I was like, oh, my nightly lover that I see now and then. And she looked like she wanted to kill me. She didn't want my friend hanging out with me anymore. Oh my gosh. I was so bad. And then I missed my period for 3 months. And my mom, she was like screaming at me. She's like, are you having sex? Are you having sex? And I was like, no, Mom, I'm not pregnant. I'm not having sex. I'm not even seeing everybody. And I explained to her what I was doing and what was happening and why I was doing it. And she just shook her head and she's like, that's not nice to do, Melissa. And she scolded me, but then she's like, I'm not gonna tell anybody because they are being rather mean to you. But it's gonna get you in a lot of trouble. I didn't get disfellowshipped, ironically. I was surprised because they had no real proof that I was doing anything. I was saying things, but there was no proof. There was nobody with me. There was no guy sneaking that they could see or anything. I wasn't actually doing anything. I was just spinning an elaborate story to troll them and to show them how judgmental they were. Because after that, they treated me like absolute shit. You gotta test your friends once in a while. Do things that upset them. See how far their loyalty goes and if they're understanding. Or there was nobody that said, "Are you okay, Melissa? Are you lonely? Is this guy okay?" No, they just immediately went up like, it's your fault. You're a bad person. You're a slut. This and that. You know. Yes, people are unbelievable. I test people all the time. I do it on purpose. It's not the nicest thing to do, but I want to make sure. It's called testing the fruit, and that's actually a biblical quote. The Bible does actually say test the fruit, and I believe that's one of my things that I took from the Bible personally. Always test the fruit. So, my mom found out I was just blowing a story out of proportion, and I never really did tell them that this guy was fake the whole time, but it fell into pieces because I was dating a guy. I ended up actually dating a real guy that was outside of my church, and he showed up in like a hood and everything and put on corpse paint, and it just fell perfectly into my story. And then the Jehovah Witness elders came by my house as I was with this guy. I was walking with him all through the town, uh, my friend Cassie, I showed her him and everything, and Cassie was like, "Oh my god, he's actually real!" She's like, "You were telling the truth the whole time!" The whole church freaked out, and I was like, and then I went to Ohio with this guy, and we got married. This is so funny. The elders' faces when they saw me in the car with this guy I was actually legitimately really dating and really in love with, that we got so along at the time. It was fantastic. When the elders came over and they were in their car and they looked at me, I grabbed my boyfriend's face and I kissed him and I made out with him right in front of those old curdy elders. And I waved goodbye. This is so awesome. Their jaws dropped. I was like, it was all according to plan. It's a shame that marriage didn't last, but we eventually had like religious differences or something. I don't know. It didn't eventually, after a few years, work out very well and we separated. But now I'm with a guy who is, we communicate well. Sometimes he's too quiet and it upsets me because I think he's being distant and emotionally avoiding me. But I believe now, because today he spent time with me and verified some things and was more open with me, that, he's trying. He does have a bad past. It's very sad, where he was isolated and kind of distant with people a lot. And we talked about things, and we have so much in common. He knows so many occult books, so much music we share together, and he's better at playing Skyrim than me. It's unbelievable. And he's the exact type of guy I would have definitely dated back then. And I'm free to be myself now. I'm free to express those parts of me, and I'm feeling that energy again, and it's great. I'm feeling more myself, and I'm healing from all that. I finally get to actually wear those fucking lacy thongs for somebody that's real instead of the fake one. Yeah, like when I was trolling my Jehovah Witness friends, I'd go shopping at Victoria's Secret with them, and they would pick out all these, cute things that were normal, more modest. Me, I'd go straight to like the thongs with the lace and the leather straps and chains. I'd start browsing for the things, and I'd be like looking at the Kiss candies they used to have and the sultry perfumes that were labeled like super lustful things, and I'd spray it on myself. And my friend would be like, "Why are you looking at that stuff?" And I'd be like, "I want to please my secret lover. I like this kind of I just like that kind of stuff. That's just what I inherently like. I like the more sultry, kinky looking things that are dark and kind of just weird like that. That's just my taste." And so I got all this stuff, and they were like, I can't believe you wear this thong and these late fishnet panties. Why even wear underwear at all? My friend literally said that, and I was like, you know what, you're right. Why bother wearing any underwear at all? I was like, so maybe I should go commando. Guys trolled so. The fucking Jehovah Witnesses. I got in so much trouble. And then I left. It was between the sex journal and then, like, when they were building my house, the houses, there was a guy's panties left in my trash can, and I was like, oh, look, he left his underwear over here. And my mom got irate. She's like, what are you doing? I have no idea why some guy, one of the contractors working on our house, left his panties and my underwear in my bathroom. But he did. It's just so many things synchronized so well with this story I elaborated that it was just the perfect exit. It is just perfect. And I'm so glad I did it because in their minds, I eloped with this dark cretin that was worldly and all this stuff. And I'd been seeing him that whole time. I don't regret it at all. I don't regret a single damn bit of it. I told them that I met him through the internet, and he liked my stories about how I went to Europe and everything, and he liked the fact that, I was exotic and traveled to Hawaii. Oh, I spun that story so well. It was just great. I got into a bunch of trouble. I got yelled at, screamed at, bullied, harassed, called a whore, slut, this and that. I didn't give a fuck. Absolutely the best exit I've ever made out of a crazy cult.